Today I've been asked to share my thoughts on how to make this community better. And I know we all have our ideas. But like all of you here, we're part of many communities. As small as my family, as large as mankind. But what connects our community? Location, the food, the harbor, Charleston. But what I think what really makes a community special are people that I call agents of change. These are individuals who are unique, they're creative, like each one of you. They're all different. They come from all walks of life and backgrounds. But what do? They make a difference. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. When I spoke to Yvonne about sharing my thoughts on community, to be honest, I wasn't sure what I was going to say. And yes, I agree with you. This crowd is intimidating, but it's beautiful. It's my community. It's your community. And one of the things that I always think about when I think about community is presence. Your presence is something that you can only bless us with. There's only one of you. And words have power. And these words have power. That's why they resonate with me. Today I've been asked to share my thoughts on how to make this community better. And I know we all have our ideas. But like all of you here, we're part of many communities. As small as my family, as large as mankind. But what connects our community? Location, the food, the harbor, Charleston. But what I think what really makes a community special are people that I call agents of change. These are individuals who are unique, they're creative, like each one of you. They're all different. They come from all walks of life and backgrounds. But what do? They make a difference. Gandhi reminds us that in a gentle way, you can shake the world, whatever world that is. That's why I know you're here this morning. That's why I know you're not getting that extra 15 minutes of sleep or maybe at the gym right now. It's because you agree that every day in some small way, you can make a difference. You understand that it's not just about you. You understand that those thoughts you have, that the challenge to make change, that tell you that it's too big, it's too significant, that it's too great. But you know that you can. I don't have it all figured out. I wish I did. I just know what I've learned and what I've experienced. Most great moments and most change are done with others. But there first must be a catalyst. There must be someone or something to light that fire. We all have imaginations, right? I think my imagination was one of the craziest. Back when I used to grow up in Seneca, South Carolina, and I kicked the ball around off the roof, I'd imagine that my right leg was Bobby, my left leg was Johnny, and we're challenging each other to see who's the best. But what I want you to do right now, though, is think back to your great moments. Think back to those moments that make you smile, that make you say, wow. Now I want you to think about the individuals that chose to be a part of it at the beginning and the end. Most of you may know that I've been a part of the soccer community for most of my life. But what you may not know is that it almost didn't happen. Sometimes what we have is these individuals that cross our paths, what I call these unexpected difference makers. The one that crossed my path was a fiery woman by the name of Nita Mace, a mother of 6 from Louisiana, small in stature, but packed some punch. I'm not so sure she knew much about my town of Seneca, where on Friday nights, high school football was a thing you did. And on Saturdays, you cruised the Applewood Shopping Center. And on Sundays, you better be in church. It was a place where young boys like me grew up wanting to play football across the lake at Clemson University. But this fiery mother of 6 had other plans. When she built a relationship with my family and me, which started a community. That relationship and trust would lead to the game, to the community that I'm a part of today. My dream went from playing football across the lake with a pigskin to now playing football across the lake where the clock counted up. But that agent of change, what she did, I believe, more for me, was she gave me strength even when there was a thought in my mind about quitting. We have a lot of creative individuals here. We all have passions. What's your passion?
Children, soccer.
What's yours?
Probably my children and helping people.
All right. Now imagine if someone told you that's not what you should be doing. Imagine if someone told you you should be a singer because that's just what you do in your community. That's just what you do in your family. Well, at that time, that's what I was dealing with. As a kid in Seneca, that's not what I was supposed to be doing, even though I had a passion for it, even though it was something I dreamed about. It was at a time when some even said, they asked me, why are you playing that communist sport? To be honest, I didn't know what communism was. Now I do, obviously. But Nita was that one that gave me the strength to keep moving on. She was that agent of change. Who is your Nita? Who have you been a Nita for? There's someone in this community right now who needs you to be a Nita for them. There's someone who is that young person that has a gift that can connect this community and that can change the community. But what do they need? They need more people like you. They need more Nitas. When we make the habit of making a difference, we will make it unknowingly. Now, my dad, he made a lot of habits of making a difference. As a father, as a roofer, and as a minister. Yes, I am a PK kid. I can remember when I'd travel with my dad onto the job site to make a little money for boots, or for those who don't know soccer lingo, cleats. And I'd be on the roof with them. And if you want to find your passion, go on a roof in South Carolina on a hot summer day. You will find your passion very quick. But after those hot summer days, we'd load up the truck and we'd make our way back home. And he'd just sit there listening to me as I rambled on and on and on. And usually it was about soccer and Clemson. I would tell him about all my dreams, all my goals, all my aspirations. And after I told him all those things, he would sit there, and you know ministers, they either have a quote or they've got a verse. And my dad usually tried to mix both of them. But I can always remember him saying, if you put God first and you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And to be honest, I'd usually kind of roll my eyes because I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to hear him say, listen, son, I've got you a full ride waiting for you at Clemson. But he listened. Little things make big change. Little things, like listening, can allow you to guide someone to their goals. It can allow you to help them to their goals. When it came time for me to go to college, I knew my family couldn't afford it. So in my mind, I had to find the school that was going to give me a full ride, or at least close to that. I'd narrowed it down pretty much to 2 schools. Clemson was not in those at that time. It wasn't my choice, it was theirs. Then I narrowed it down to 1 school. I take the visit, I show up, had a great time. The coach looks at me, has a sheet of paper and says, if you sign here, your education's paid for. Imagine that. Especially today. Your education is paid for, and you get to do your passion. By the way, any of you here who have student athletes, I would advise you to make sure to tell them that before they sign anything, to call home. That's actually what my dad told me. He said, before you make any decision, call home. So I ran to the phone. I called him up. I said, Dad, guess what? They offered me a full scholarship. You don't have to pay. And he goes, that's great, son. And I'll never forget, he said, but I know you want to go to Clemson. Come on home, and we'll talk about it. What I didn't realize was that all that time in that truck, he'd been listening to me. And by him listening, he continued to push me towards my goal. But on the backside, what he was doing was he was planning. That dream came true. Not because of necessarily my skill. That dream came true because of agents of change like Nita, the relationship builder, the one that gave me strength. Like my father, the one who listened. Listening seems like a simple thing, but sometimes it's those simple things like a smile, opening the door for someone, that can be the catalyst to change. That change for that one individual can change a community. I became the first person in my family to earn a degree. And sometimes those little things, like honest, tough love, that my coach Gansler gave me can also be what can move you in the direction that you need to go. I think we can all agree that we need a little bit more honesty in our world right now. And that honesty is only good if you listen to it. It's only good if you know what to do with it. That honesty can bring change. It is the foundation of change. It's the building blocks. I'll be honest, I always didn't want to listen to it. I just got to Kansas City. I'm a young player. I'm feeling good about myself. We just won the MLS Cup. Coach Gansler calls me into his office. And he says, "John, we're going to have to release you." Release is a word that us athletes use that means what? You're fired. So as I sat there looking at this coach, by the way, this man had coached in the World Cup, the Olympics, but in my mind, he was just another person firing me. I thought to myself, what does this man know? What does this man know about John Wilson? But he was honest. Everyone here has that gift and talent. But if you're not using it constantly, what happens to it? It fades. You can't grow it. That was my case. I wasn't getting games, and he said, "You need games." And he gave me a choice. Really, only one choice. Go find a place where you can get games. That honesty led to change in my life, my career, my community. It's actually what brought me back to Charleston. It's what helped me earn a degree. Yeah, I left that part out, that I left school early to chase the riches of Major League Soccer, which was nothing. But what I hope you can see is the agents of change in my life. But more importantly, I hope you can see them in your life, and I hope you will be one in this community. It starts with you. Little actions, big change. You can be Nita, the one who builds relationships, the one who gives strength. You can be my pops, the one who listens. You can be Coach Gansler, the giver of honest advice. I would like for us to make sure that our presence makes a difference. I would like for us that when we step into a room, our smile draws people in. I would like for when people think about you, they see you as that agent of change. Be the individual that when people think about you, they smile and think back to when you were their difference maker. I challenge everyone here to be that agent of change in everything you do. It may get you more likes. It may even close a deal for you. But more importantly, it may change a city, a community, a country, a life. Thank you.
Ready to take some questions?
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Does anybody have any questions for John? This is our little Q&A portion. Take that from you.
Oh, thank you. No questions.
John, I got one.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the different communities you were exposed to when you were playing in that large realm of MLS soccer all over the U.S. and I don't know, did you go international as well for that?
I did, and I'm very thankful for my soccer community. I've always believed that there's so much power in sports because it brings people from all different backgrounds together. But what the game did, the game and these individuals that were part of my life, they exposed me to things that I would never have dreamed of. It broke down barriers. It broke down even my own biases. When I told the story earlier about when Nita came and gave me the strength to continue to play, it was a very tough time for me. And I'm not sure if you caught on to this, but the community that I was talking about was the black community said, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you're supposed to do. And at that time, even in Seneca, if you didn't go to school, you were probably going to the mills, or in my case, I'm roofing. But then on the other side, I had the group saying, it's a communist sport, which is very ironic, but I think it shows the power of what individuals can do to bring change. And that's why even now in Charleston, I believe as individuals, when we sit and we talk and we're able to listen, we can learn a lot that can help change individuals and change communities. And I have to thank my parents as well because it was all new to them. But I truly believe in the little actions that you take make big change. It's true. You may not see it. It's like a seed. You plant it. You water it. It may not be for some time until you see it grow. That's what change is. And I know it seems, even for me, overwhelming sometimes. And I'm sorry I'm going over on this question, but I can remember watching what was going up in Charlotte at one time. And I'm sitting there like, gosh, this is crazy. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help. And that's when I said, you know what? I can go mentor. I can go mentor one person. And that's what I did. And that's my way of being part of community, but bringing change.
You coach now, right?
I do coach now. I just really got back into the youth game because I wasn't happy with the way it was going. The way I grew up playing was different than it is now. But I did get back in because I felt like that was a place where I could really help young people. I could really help bring some change. And one of the things when I do, when I coach is I'll watch the players. We work with 6, 7-year-olds at Elite Futsal Charleston. And before I'll say hello to the player, but I'll just watch them to try to pick up things, what they need to work on. And as well, I'll listen to them. It's amazing what kids will tell you if you just listen to them. And it's something special. And so that's why I'm back in it, because I believe I can make an impact. It's really actually not about the winning. It's not about making pros. You hear that all the time. We are developing players. There's very few elite players, and no harm to Charleston. There's very few elite players here. So why spend most of your time and money trying to develop elite players when you can spend that time developing good people? That'll last lifetimes.
We got a question here. Real quick though, what have you noticed about change within communities in terms of their perspective of soccer and its growth?
It's obviously it's great now. It's not considered a communist sport, but I think it's great. I hope that we can grow it in a way that gives opportunity to all, because that really, I believe, is what the game of soccer has always been about. It's been about communities coming together. If you look at the national teams, you look at France who won it, these players are from all different backgrounds. I look at the Battery here. I go in the locker room. One day I walk in there, there's a Trinidadian playing loud music. There's somebody over here doing something different. There's all these things going on. But they all come together for one cause. That's community. So that's what I think is happening here in the U.S. I think obviously with the MLS is the growth is huge, and I hope that the trickle down effect will be more concentrated now on the youth, on, for example, the local inner city club here called Ebony City Soccer, one of the oldest inner city clubs in America, but nobody really knows about them. So how do we take the game and make it available to them, instead of it being now to where it's, I've got my club over here, I'm over here, we're just gonna do our thing, when the game has always been about that.
Change can be good, change can be bad. Being an agent of change sounds like it requires focus and energy. What keeps you grounded and focused on being an agent of change?
That's a good one. I have to say, I have to say my faith and my dad, because he always would send me messages, you know. But what I think you said something very, very powerful there. Honestly, what grounded me was I had to go through some tough times. And for me to realize what it meant to be an agent of change, to what it means, what it means to really be a part of a community. And that was the way I was able to learn it. So now when I speak, I don't want people to have to go through those tough times. I want them to realize right away that you have this opportunity in a simple way to change a life. Growing up in Seneca, I was very shy. I stuttered. I didn't have confidence. So if someone like you came up to me and just encouraged me, that made the world of difference to me. And now I see that when I coach. And it's not about tactics. It's about the little things. I tell a kid, hey, good job. Oh, keep going, good job. How's your day been? I think we've made it complicated, and we all have it in us. I don't know if I answered your question or not. Yes?
Do you think the United States will win the World Cup in our lifetime?
Wow, I wasn't prepared for that question. Honestly, I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say yes. Yes. I think some things have to change, but I think we will. They better, the amount of money they're putting in.
Hey John, first off, thanks so much for coming and speaking to us. That was really great to hear. My question is kind of like, how do you tread the line between wanting to be an agent for change for someone and being like too much about it and being over, like almost making them like standoffish from you trying too much to change something? You know, how do you? I know it's about the small things, but how do you tread that line and not, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think the more that you know about someone, the more that you keep learning about them, the more sooner or later they're willing to trust you. And that comes from listening. it comes from doing the simple things. And I believe building that relationship and that trust to make that change, it takes time. It really takes time. And that's how I approach it. I never give up on anybody. Even when I watch young players, I might have someone who has 2 left feet. They're 9 years old. I just keep kind of almost like a plant watering them, encouragement. I may only see them once a week. And there's something important we all have to realize. There may be people's lives that you've changed that you don't even know about. Me and Pete were talking about this one day, where there was a student who years later said, I want to thank you. You inspired me to do this. You inspired me to do that. So it's not a process of where you talk, you sit down, and they're changed, we're changed. It's continuous just watering it and watering it. Did I answer your question? Sure. All right.
John West. First of all, thank you for that. I can tell that I didn't even remember that particular student, but he remembered enough to write me a note. I do want to say, as the oldest guy in the room by a lot, how do you stop all of these young, enthusiastic people from becoming the soccer parents that you deal with every day?
I think what I just said is that there's very few elite players, and if you want to save some money, approach it the right way. I do believe in the power of sports, but in the right place. And the percentages show the chance of getting a scholarship are slim. The percentages show the chances of going pro are slim. When you watch these individuals train and they're on the highlight reels, that's a very small percentage. And what we're seeing now, even myself with some of my friends we coach with, we're seeing burnout. And usually your son or daughter, if you have a son or daughter that plays, they know if they enjoy it. They actually know how good they are. Kids will tell you. They don't need me to tell them where they're at. When we just have the kids together, everything's all right. But when sometimes we bring in the parents, that's when things get a little bit different. But I think if you take the approach that my parents did, they just saw it as an avenue, a vehicle for me to have some fun, get some energy out, and learn life lessons. That is one thing football taught me, was a lot about life lessons. That's what sports can do, but right now, because of the whole pay-to-play scheme, I want to call it a scheme, but the whole pay-to-play thing, the coaches are not allowed as much to teach those life skills. So if I tell little Johnny, go do 10 push-ups for line, parent comes back and says something. If I tell little Johnny, I need you to compete, parents come back and say, being too hard. And that happened when just recently, we had to have a talk. I sat down at halftime. I think they might have been 12 years old. And I said, if you don't compete right now, you're gonna have a hard time competing in life. And I asked them, all of you wanna go to college one day, and maybe not play, but you gotta compete. And that is a big thing I am seeing, or we're seeing right now. The kids are not competing. They don't have that grit. And so we're trying to instill that in them. Not necessarily so we can win, but they can win in life. And that is so important. And for me, what when I get in my, what I call my state of just, okay, I've got to grind something out, I think about sports. I think about if me and Pete are going to race, and I know Pete's the oldest man in here,
I like.
I'm still going to win.
You better.
Yeah. So that's how I would approach as a parent. That's how I think as a coach. I'm not sure if I coach anybody's kids in here, but if so, I hope they're enjoying it. If not, there's somebody you can talk to. It's not me. I'm just kidding. No, but good question.
We are almost out of time. Do you have any final closing thoughts, any last words?
Oh, really? I just want to thank all of you. It really means a lot to have someone that'll take the time out of their day to listen. I really believe that I am a part of you guys, and it really means a lot. I want to thank my uncle and my uncle and Teresa for being here. My family has been a huge part of my life and career, even when I wasn't around. I spent most of my time on the road traveling, and I really want to thank them. But last thing I'll say is you guys are my community, and that if I can help out in any way, if I can do anything, please let me know. And thank you.
Thank you, John.